Compare the guys in the mob to the stuff you're hearing alleged against Diddy.
If we did that in the mob, we would be for it. We would never touch women and children and stuff like that. So that's against our rules, our principles.
An ex-mobster just revealed why Diddy's new prison could actually be worse than hell, and what he said will shock you. You clicked this video for a reason. You want to know what's really happening to Diddy behind bars. And trust me, this story gets wild. Diddy was just moved to a new prison in New Jersey called Fort Dix. On the surface, it looks like an upgrade. Better conditions, more freedom, nicer facilities. But here's what nobody's talking about. An ex-mobster who actually served time is warning that this better prison could be far more dangerous for Diddy than the hellhole he was in before. Sounds crazy, right? How can a nicer prison be worse? Stick with me, because in this video we're breaking down why low security could put Diddy at serious risk, the knife attack that nearly ended his life, and what real mobsters think about his crimes. Let's get into it.
I was sleeping in my bed in the prison. It's a federal detention facility in Brooklyn called MDC Brooklyn, and there are federal inmates who are in many cases waiting for their trial as well. And Diddy claimed that somebody held a knife to his throat. He woke up and this guy basically had him, and he had the knife, and Diddy was at this person's mercy now. And I think that was something they wanted known during the hearing because they wanted the judge to take some pity on Diddy. It probably didn't help ultimately because he does get the 4+ year sentence. But again, this just is something that is the reality of life for Diddy right now. It's a guy who's worth hundreds of millions of dollars who is now living in a prison cell and will be at least again for the next 2.5 years or so.
So Michael, obviously it was kind of like an intimidation tactic, right? It didn't seem like they were actually trying to hurt them.
One of Diddy's friends, and that's why the story is kind of has gotten a little bit more attention now today, because one of Diddy's friends has come out and spoken about it as well. And according to the friend, it sounds like the guy said something to the effect of, "I could hurt you at any time," in a little bit of more threatening language.
During Diddy's sentencing hearing, a shocking detail came out. Someone allegedly held a knife to his throat while he was sleeping. Think about that. You're Diddy, worth hundreds of millions, and you wake up with a blade pressed against your neck. One move and it's over. The attacker didn't kill him. Instead, he sent a message. "I can get to you anytime I want." One of Diddy's friends later confirmed it was pure intimidation. The goal wasn't to hurt him, it was to remind him that he's never safe. That kind of fear? That's psychological torture. And this is exactly why what the ex-mobster says next matters so much.
And he'll be a lot better off in prison than he is in the federal jail. You know, at least there you can move around and you got some freedom on the yard and things like that. You know, my thought is he'll collect himself, get himself together. You know, there are ways for him to improve himself. You know, they have the Bureau of Prisons now has a drug program. And if you're allowed to get into that drug program, you can knock as much as 18 months off your sentence. Now, I don't know if he'll qualify, if they'll allow him to go in, but he'll probably start to think about, okay, what can I do to reduce my time now? That's what everybody thinks when you get in there. Because he's high profile, even though his sentence qualifies him for a camp, it's a low security, sentence. But my feeling is he'll get into at least a medium because he's so high profile.
After sentencing, most inmates return to their cells angry and disappointed, replaying every what if in their head. According to ex-mobster Michael Franzese, Diddy will spend a short time at MDC Brooklyn before being transferred to his permanent facility. Franzese believes the new prison will be better in some ways: more movement, outdoor time, fresh air, and access to programs. There's even a drug treatment program that could cut up to 18 months off Diddy's sentence. His lawyers likely requested a prison close to family in New Jersey, which makes sense. But this is where things get complicated and dangerous.
Secondly, here recently, it was alleged that Diddy was caught with some type of electronic device. I'm guessing a cell phone. So since then, when Diddy first arrived at Fort Dix, it was slated that his job would be, y'all don't laugh, okay? That he would be the laundryman, that he would be responsible for the dryer. But since then, in a most recent update, Diddy is now responsible. His job is slated as being a worker in the chapel library. I guess that's the easiest way to put it. But from everything that Diddy has done in these past 2, almost 3 weeks, Diddy will now spend an additional month behind bars from the violations that he has done. Per the, what board is it? I want to make sure. The Federal Corrections Institute update, the website. Diddy's new release date is June 4th, 2028, when it previously was May 8th, 2028.
Diddy technically qualifies for a minimum security camp, the closest thing prison has to a country club. No fences. Very relaxed. But the ex-mobster doesn't think Diddy will end up there.
Why?
Because he's too rich and too high-profile. When inmates know you have money, they don't just see a person, they see opportunity. In medium security prisons, that can actually protect you because people want to use you, not hurt you, but that protection only lasts as long as you're valuable alive. If you're seen as more valuable silenced, that's when things turn dangerous, especially with rumors that Diddy knows powerful names.
Diddy just had his prison release date pushed further back. Now, we knew that it was going to be May 8th, 2028, but now it's going to be June 4th, 2028, and this is a direct result of him violating the prison rules. Things like the toilet wine that he drank, despite the fact that he claimed that he was sober, as well as, well, actually, I think this is just for the toilet wine. This isn't even consequences for the 3-way phone call he got in trouble for the other day. Now, look, I realize that that's only a little bit less than a month than what he's got on now, which doesn't...
Fort Dix may look better than MDC Brooklyn, but that's exactly the problem. AT-MDC. Security was tight. Guards watched everything. Unauthorized calls were nearly impossible. Fort Dix. Security is looser. And reports claim Diddy has already started contacting powerful industry insiders. But here's the danger. If Diddy can reach out, others can reach, and that's a terrifying thought when people believe he knows secrets, names, and connections. Similar to what people once believed about Jeffrey Epstein. When you know too much, you become a target.
I am curious if you, having gone through it all, having been pulled under the RICO statute and been locked away yourself, do you see that racketeering applies in what you're hearing out of Diddy's case so far?
Yeah, parts of it. The racketeering law is a very complicated law. I was arrested a couple of times under RICO, and a couple of times I testified in cases that the RICO law was used. And it's easy to understand when you're using it against the mafia or a cartel or an organization like that, a criminal organization. This is a different form of the RICO, where the organization is where Diddy had his company, he used that as a criminal organization. But it's going to be a little hard to understand for a lot of people because it was confusing. Lawyers were confused about it. I'm a little confused about it. I think they have a clear-cut case without the RICO case. I mean, what this guy did is disgusting. I don't think there's a person alive, a man or a woman, especially women, who are not going to hate this guy. Whatever he did was completely disgusting. It's beyond criminal. I don't even know what it is. I look at it like he disgraced everybody. He disgraced the black race by being a black man. I know a lot of black people, and they hate him for it because it painted a picture towards all of them. I think it's being followed all over the world. If he's not found guilty or he's cut free or he does a short amount of time, I mean, I can only imagine what the whole world would think. This is a disgusting country.
Things may already be going wrong. A TMZ reported that shortly after arriving at Fort Dix, guards caught Diddy with homemade alcohol, known in prison as hooch. It's made from soda, sugar, and fruit, and inmates have been brewing it for decades. Officials considered moving him to another unit, but held off for now. Still, breaking prison rules can add time to his sentence. After finally reaching a better facility, risking it like this makes no sense. But when someone is used to having everything, being told no doesn't come easy.
I think that's a great question, and I don't think we have the answer to it yet, because he is going to be transferred from this MDC Brooklyn facility, likely to a federal prison that's more of a long-term facility. It's likely going to be a place in New Jersey. He wants to be close to his family, and there is a place there that fits a lot of the things that he's looking for. He has asked for a drug and alcohol treatment program, so he wants to go to a prison that has a program that he can take and hopefully better himself so he doesn't have issues when he does finally get out. So he is looking for a place like that. So he will go somewhere else. But I think that's a great point. You don't want to just sit in solitary confinement for 3 years and not have any contact with anybody.
Then came the most shocking reaction of all, from ex-mob boss Sammy the Bull Gravano. Gravano, a man deeply familiar with RICO cases and organized crime, didn't hold back. He called Diddy's actions disgusting and said there isn't a person alive who won't hate him for it. Then he dropped this bombshell. If someone did this in the mob, they would be killed. No trial. According to Gravano, the mob had a code. Women and children were off limits. Anyone who broke that rule was eliminated by their own people. Let that sink in. Even hardened mobsters believe Diddy crossed a line they wouldn't cross.
One of the things I wanted to ask before we moved on, it's been a lot of back and forth as to will he, won't he, but any updates on whether or not President Trump is actually going to or not going to pardon him?
Yeah, no clue. There are obviously people who are, familiar with at least Diddy's thinking here and conversations that they say have taken place, and they feel like there is a real opportunity, a real chance that Donald Trump could pardon or commute Diddy's sentence. And obviously, with a swipe of the pen like that, Diddy could walk out then, and I suppose that would clear up a lot of his problems. But obviously, up until now, the White House has said no, that's not true. The president is not going to take any action on Diddy.
Some people close to Diddy believe there's still a chance he could walk free with one signature, but the White House has already shut that down. Officials say Trump has no plans to intervene in Diddy's case. As one reporter put it, if Trump wants to act, he will. If he doesn't, he won't. For now, Diddy is expected to serve about 2.5 more years, possibly less if he qualifies for treatment programs. He's close to family, but every day is a balancing act. Stay sane without being too exposed. The ex-mobster's warning is clear. Sometimes the nicer prison is the most dangerous one.